welcome or welcome back to my channel, Lydia Lost the Plot. I'm Lydia and I have the absolute pleasure today of doing the mid-year book freakout tag, which I love watching the videos of this. But Ben from Ben Reads Good actually tagged me in it, and I know that a lot of you guys that are watching have come from his channel, so if you have come from there, please do leave a comment down below, and so I can get to know you. And thank you so much for coming over, because it's just the support of other people really means the world to me, and I love Ben and I love his channel, and it was just such a lovely little thing for him to do for me. So I am here to do the tag. Now I've got the list of questions in front of me because I can't physically remember them, don't be stupid, and I've tried to answer them as honestly and openly as I can. So the first question in this tag is, what is the best book you've read so far in 2024? Now there are quite a few 5 stars, not many. For those of you that don't know me, I'm very stingy when it comes to 5 stars. I only tend to give them out to very, very select books, because I think for it to reach 5 stars in my head, it has to be almost perfect, and it has to be a book that I'm anxious to recommend to everybody. And the book that I've chosen is Headshot by Rita Bulwinkel. It's a phenomenal debut book, and it is so good. It's about a group of girls in a boxing tournament, and the chapters are set out as fights, and you see them from the perspective of each fighter. You don't have to like boxing. I don't like boxing. You don't even have to know how to play it. But it's about the inner monologue of these girls, and about their quirkiness and their aggression and their female rage and their passion and their faults and their issues. And it's just so wonderfully put together. I cannot recommend this book enough. I know it's made some lists recently, best book lists, and it's starting to get a little bit more buzz, but I feel like for this first half of the year it's really gone under the radar and people aren't talking about it, and I'm like, how are people not talking about this fantastic book? I'm really tempted to reread it again because I'm obsessed. And I just think it's phenomenal, and I think you'll love it too. So that is the best book I have read this year. Next up was the best sequel that I've read this year, and I look back on my story graph and I've read one. And that one, would you believe, is Sinner by Sierra Simone. I know it's the only one I've read though, and we'll leave it at that. Okay, next up is a new release that you haven't read yet but want to, and this won't come as a surprise to anybody, but the book that I have chosen is James by Percival Everett. I'm seeing it making all of these waves in the book world. I've not read Huck Finn, and I feel like maybe I should read that first, but then I'm also a bit like, I know Greg over on Supposedly Fun, he said that he didn't have to read it, but then he didn't really think much of this. So I don't know. What do you guys think? If you think I need to read Huck Finn first, then let me know, because I think that's why I'm putting it off, because I don't want to be ignorant to it, or like miss bits or not understand it. I don't know, sometimes I feel a bit thick. Do you, when you read certain books, or like when things are really literary? I read a lot of literary fiction, but I sometimes feel like maybe I'm a little bit stupid, and maybe I'm not going to get it. So I don't know. But this is very hotly anticipated in my book anyway. The next one was my biggest disappointment of 2024 so far. Now, I have looked over all of the books that I've read this year, and there has not been one book that I've been really, really disappointed by. And there's not been one book that I've really not liked or thought that it wasn't great. So I don't know. The next one is the biggest surprise of 2024 so far. Now, this book is Sociopath by Patric Gagne. Now, the reason why this was such a surprise is because it wasn't even on my radar. I was not even thinking about picking up this book. I hadn't heard of it. I didn't know who Patric was. I didn't know anything about it. And we got it in my bookshop and it was face out on a shelf. And I thought, oh, Sociopath, that sounds quite good. And I just picked it up just to have, like, familiarise myself with it. And I picked it up and then I didn't put it down. And then I bought it and then I took it home and I read it. And it was phenomenal. This is a memoir about a woman who is diagnosed as a sociopath, which basically it's not like a psychopath. There's nothing like violent or scary about this. It's just that they feel emotions in a different way than we do. It's somewhat muted and somewhat toned down, and in other ways quite channeled, and it can be anxiety inducing and pressure inducing. And it is such an honest and interesting account of living with sociopathy and how that affects your relationships, how it can affect your work, how it affects your school life, growing up, your relationships with your family. It's just so cool, like, it's so good. And I just think, like, when you're trying to, what we try and do as readers is we try and get in the minds of characters, don't we? We try and to live vicariously through people, and it's so fascinating to be able to read this narrative non-fiction and feel like you can understand and empathise with somebody who themselves struggles with empathy and themselves struggles with emotion. This is from someone that feels emotion too much, and it was just such a surprise. I really did not expect it to blow me over the way it did, and it is something that I recommend all the time to people looking for memoir, people that are looking for a good narrative non-fiction, because it's as I like to say, it's buzzing. It's bloody brilliant, let me tell you. Fantastic. So next up is favourite new author. So new to me or a debut. Now this is both new to me and a debut. Would you believe it? So, you know, ever the overachiever, I wanted to have both. My gosh, it's boiling today. Honestly, I've been in work, I'm roasting hot. I feel hotter than a Pharaoh's pocket. It's just, it's too hot. Right, so I digress. So my favourite new author is Kaveh Akbar, who has written the book Martyr. As you can tell from my tabbing, I loved this book. It's phenomenal. It's a wonderful exploration of what it's like to be a modern man, what it's like to deal with grief and loss and your own mortality. It sounds really deep and dark, but it's really funny at the same time, and it's just so insightful. The last few chapters are bonkers. I mean, they are crazy. You will read it and you will be like, what is this? I literally had to, like, put the book down. I was like, he's done what? But I love that. I was just completely kind of like tuck somewhere else with it. I was surprised constantly by the way this narrative went. I was surprised constantly by the form that Kaveh Akbar chose. I was constantly surprised by his use of vocabulary and his use of imagery, and it's so cool. It's so good. So if you haven't yet got this book on your radar, I cannot recommend it enough. I think it's really great, and even though I'm not quite entirely 100% sure what happened, I loved the journey. So whatever Kaveh Akbar writes next, I will be reading. Sign me up, please, because it's incredible. So my next question is my newest fictional crush. Now, everyone that I've watched do this tag says, oh, I don't get fictional crushes. I do. Let me tell you. I've had fictional crushes since I was able to crush, let me tell you. So, my latest fictional crush is from this gem of a book, which is Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, and it is the character Ivan. Now, I can't say much about it. This book is embargoed and we can't really do much about. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to spoil it for people. But Ivan is the most beautiful, gorgeous and kind man, and I feel like he would just be the most loving and gorgeous partner. So yeah, I mean, guys, I'm single, so it's possible that me and Ivan are just gonna have to go steady, but he's wonderful and I love him. So get your pre-orders in because I think you'll fall in love with him too. Next up is a book that made me cry. Now, I have looked back on all of the books that I read this year, and there hasn't been a book that has made me bawl. Usually I do get quite a few that I actually like weep, openly weep at. But I haven't had anything like that this year. I don't know whether it's that I was gravitating towards slightly lighter reads. I mean, this is me, you know, light for me is like grief and death, but whatever. However, what I have chosen is a book that I feel really moved me, and there were moments where I gasped and was really kind of, it took my breath, and that is What I'd Rather Not Think About by Jente Posthuma. Now, this book is about suicide and about the loss of a twin to suicide and the remaining twin having to basically try and understand their role in life without them. And so it is dark and it is deep. It is funny. On the back it says, by my 27th birthday I owned 142 sweaters and it was high time I saw a therapist, which I just think is wonderful. It's got such a wry, funny edge and this dark humour to it, but it really did move me. It was so emotional, and I think that it's one of them books where you're going to have to be in the right place, right mindset before you go into it, but I can't recommend it enough. It's amazing. The next question is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. So there are lots of gorgeous covers out at the moment. Marta's one of them. There are so many that I could have chosen. But the one that I have chosen is a quite minimalist book. And that is Knife by Salman Rushdie. Now, I chose this because the moment I opened, if you have these big totes full of books at work, the moment I opened that and I saw this cover, I was just aghast. It is the most, I'm trying like so you can see it and not me. It's the most beautiful cover with just this little slit in the middle for the eye of Knife. And it's just wonderful. I can't imagine what it was like trying to think of a cover for something like this. This is Salman Rushdie's memoir that he wrote after being basically his attempted murder. So it's meditations after an attempted murder. He, you know, lost an eye. He almost lost his life. And so when you think about books with this kind of gravity and this kind of subject matter, it must be really hard for publishers and for authors to really think about how to market them, because it's not, you know, you're not trying to capitalise on what's happened, but also you kind of need to give that nod to what it's about for people that maybe are new to it or didn't know what happened. And it's just such a wonderful cover. It's black and white spine and then white on the front, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It's not got anything on the inside, but I've yet to read it, but I am actually very, very excited about doing it. The jacket design was done by Rushdie. The jacket art direction was by Greg Molliker, and the author photograph was by Rachel Eliza Griffiths. But yeah, so kudos to them, because this is a phenomenal cover, and it is one of my favourites. So I think this is the most beautiful book that I have bought. I also get given a lot of books, and I actually bought this one, so there you go. And the final question in this tag is, what are the books you need to read by the end of the year? Well, the word need immediately makes me come out in a rash. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't do well with rules. You probably know this already. So if you say I need to do something, I'm not going to do it. However, the books that I would like to read are just to make a dent. Like, look at this, it's ridiculous. I'd like to get a few more Stephen Kings under my belt. I'm trying to work my way through his back catalogue and his new stuff. I also would really like to read a few more classics, because I feel like I don't read enough. Like, one book that I really want to get to this year is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and I think it's Jack Edwards that says that that's a really good book, but I really want to get to that, and it's tiny, it's teeny tiny, so I don't know why I just don't pick it up and just read it, but I don't, and it's really frustrating. So I'd like to get to that. I'd also like to get to the book Fireweather by John Valiant, and I would like to get to the book Challenger by Alan Higginbotham. So they are all those last two are non-fiction, but I like to mix it up. I like to read everything, so I would like to make a dent in my TBR, I say pile, I mean, what is it, it's behind me, TBR wall. So I would like to make a dent anyway. We'll see, best laid plans and all that. But you know what, I have had such a fab time trying to think about my answers to these questions, so thank you so much to Ben for tagging me in this, because I absolutely love this, and if anybody else out there has got a channel and wants to tag me and stuff so I can do more of these, then please do, because I love this. It's great. Also, I don't know many booktubers yet, like, so if you are one of those people and you want to tag yourself, then please do so, because I don't know many people yet, so I'm really trying to like branch out and get to know more people on this platform. So if you've got your own channel, or you know a really good channel, please direct them my way so I can get in touch with them and see them and add them to my list of subscribed, because it's so much fun. But yeah, just thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope I've not bored you to death. And I hope I've put some good stuff on your radar. Do keep thinking about Headshot by Rita Bulwinkel, because it is so good. And I will be back later this week. On Sunday we've got my weekly wrap up, and then we've got a couple of extra videos coming your way too, which is fun. So yeah, and thank thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.